Technology might be held aloft as the great change enabler of the enterprise world, but business leaders also emphasise the crucial role of technology's own enabler: people. In fact, the symbiosis of technology and people is commonly regarded as the catalyst for fulfilling an organisation's potential in this era of relentless change. In the future, one simply won't thrive without the other. Strategy teams all over are working hard to extract the most from their technology and their people. Obstacles like a widening skills gap, the cost of technology investment, and the sheer rate of change are testing those decision makers intent on bringing structures and staff up to speed. The DVLA has faced each of these challenges and, as a public sector organisation in the United Kingdom, plenty more to boot. But with clearly defined pathways for both technology and people, it looks set to deliver a new standard for customers and employees. There's no getting away from it. The civil service struggles with image. Viewed by some members of the public as slow-paced and overly bureaucratic, it's easy to make lazy assumptions about administrative bodies like the DVLA. A government arm responsible for managing the 38.2 million licensed vehicles on the UK's roads, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency is a critical function. And with around 90% of the country's adult population interacting with the DVLA over matters of vehicle registration, driver licensing and taxation, it has a unique relationship with its customers. John Hewson is Customer Services Manager at the DVLA.
Our feedback from customers basically says we don't actually want to deal with DVLA, we deal with them because we know we have to, so the easier we can make that, the more painless we can make that, the happier the customers are.
The organisation, however, is on a mission to shatter any myths around its reputation and how it works. It's currently in the middle of a deep transformation programme centred on technology infrastructure and the skills of its workforce. Andrew Falvey, Commercial Director, is one of the drivers behind what is a forward-thinking, innovative operation.
I've seen a huge amount of change in the 10 years that I've been here, to be honest with you. There's been a massive amount of change, certainly in what I do, in the way we work in commercial, but in the whole business. And I think that change is constant in this place. So I think anybody that thinks this place is the myth that we're a fairly slow-moving, super tanker or a public sector organisation, anybody that works here will tell you that's just not true. This place changes all the time. Structures change, teams change, on a regular basis, and it's very reactive.
In order to satisfy its enormous customer base, it processes over 1 billion interactions each year, 96.1% of them online, the DVLA relies on a workforce of 6,000 and an IT setup that must not only support internal demand, but also underpin a growing number of digital services. From a front-end perspective, web users have access to a host of services that enable them to process transactions digitally, saving them time and money. However, while customer feedback on user experience has been extremely positive, the DVLA is having to refactor its back-end architecture to future-proof these services.
Whilst I think we get a fair bit of praise for our front-end services, in other words, what you see on the internet, it looks very good. The truth is that our back-end legacy systems are old. They're often around 40 years old. Right now, change is difficult. It's slow, it's expensive. Your address, for example, is in multiple places on our system record. That can't be right. Your address should be in one place. And you should be able to see that address and check it online. People expect that these days, and change it yourself.
The transition to a more suitable infrastructure is part of its long-term IT strategy. Over the course of a 3-year period, it's aiming to move the majority of its workloads away from these legacy systems and onto a hybrid, cloud-based, open standards-driven framework. CTO Dave Perry explains.
So our journey is to be taking these big monolithic systems and kind of deconstruct them into open source, loosely coupled API cloud-first solutions, so that we can still deliver the same functionality but at significantly faster agility and lower cost to the organisation and ergo the taxpayer.
An important lead-in project for this technology change has been a lengthy piece of work that involved Perry and his team working alongside the operational and customer services team to map the DVLA's services and their subcomponents in painstaking detail. By bringing operational and IT colleagues together, the teams were able to forge a series of high-level service maps describing the user needs as well as the technology choices required, aligned to the overall strategic vision. The maps included more than 720 features and in excess of 1,800 dependencies. figures that offer some context to the scale of transformation work undertaken.
Yeah, so it's massive. We did a huge piece of work to start with, and we worked out there's about 20,000 function points, or if you turn that into man days of effort, roughly about 365 years of man effort of development that's needed in order to refactor all of that code into the new open source.
So now we've got a very clear picture of all our services in terms of what the component elements of them are, what their interactions are with our systems. It might sound simple, it's been a huge piece of work, and what it's going to do is give us a blueprint then to use for transformation in the future.
The end result of this technological journey looks set to be an unrivaled infrastructure when compared to other government bodies. Held up often as a public sector leader in the digital arena, the DVLA will be keen for this target architecture, which also incorporates advanced automation and a secure by design security practice, to further boost that reputation. Nearly 4 years ago, the DVLA made a significant change to the way it did IT. It began the process of insourcing its talent after decades of operating with an outsourced model. Today, it employs 700 IT workers, over half of whom are technical engineers with hands-on roles that stretch right across the technology spectrum. Not only has the headcount increased exponentially, but also the DVLA's approach to development and implementation is at the cutting edge, incorporating the very latest agile methodology and innovative deployment of its skilled IT workers.
What we've done is thought about how we shape our IT structures. We've worked in an agile development way for years. Agile's almost getting an old hat now, frankly, but so the way we do development has changed. We've also looked at the way we marshal our resources, so we have squads, we work in a squad structure, and the idea here is a build and run idea as well. So the teams that build a product will manage and run the product after. So it's not a case of build it and throw it over the fence to somebody else, and all the issues that can entail. So I'm not the authority on this because we've got a lot of clever tech guys here, but as a director, of course, I see what goes on and I'm aware of it. And I think that modern thinking, that creative thinking about how we work and the way we're structured and the fluidity and the willing to try things as well.
Elliot Brown, Head of IT Strategy and Planning, is a leader of this technology function and believes that while system availability of the DVLA's critical national infrastructure remains paramount, it achieved 99.84% availability last year, this fertile development environment is a standout strength for the organisation.
Really what we aim to do is give people interesting things to do. So we're using new technologies, we're doing cutting edge proof of concept work, we're giving particularly technical people and delivery people some of the most interesting and wide-ranging projects to work on that pretty much touch every household in the UK. So we're unrivaled in terms of scale, we're unrivaled in terms of reach and complexity, and the opportunities we can give people are massive, and I think that's why people keep coming to join us.
Attracting the right talent in an increasingly diverse technology jobs market remains a complex challenge for the DVLA. Staggering numbers related to the digital skills gap have made headlines in recent months. The European Commission predicts that 760,000 IT jobs in Europe will be unfilled in 2020, while the World Economic Forum says that 133 million new roles will be generated globally by 2022 as a result of the division of labour between humans, machines and algorithms. This drastically changing workforce is evidently a problem on a macro level. It can be seen on a micro level at the DVLA. Add in factors such as its standing as a publicly funded body and the proximity of its headquarters in South Wales, 300 kilometres away from the technology hub of central London, and it's easy to see why talent is a priority at board level. Consequently, special measures have been taken in this area. People attraction and retention is one of the key tenets of the DVLA's overarching IT strategy, as well as the upskilling of current employees. It's built a catalogue of on-demand online training courses, while strengthening its collaborations with education establishments around Swansea. This includes tie-ups with both Swansea University, where it has funded a foundation degree programme in computer science, and the University of Wales, Trinity St David. It also has relationships with local colleges and schools, including the recently launched Code Club initiative that is encouraging school-aged children to take an active interest in coding. This collective effort has seen the DVLA recognised as a government centre of digital excellence.
Don't get qualified in Swansea and then shoot off to London to work. You can get a really good job in Swansea, doing really interesting stuff. You can spend a couple of years working in DVLA and then perhaps move on, or perhaps you'll stay here, I don't know. So the Digital Skills Academy that we're working on, which is the brand that we're using, is a very important part of what we're doing to try and grow our own talent in digital skills.
We see investing in people as absolutely at the heart of what we're trying to achieve, and it's a long-term strategy. We're not trying to throw money at problems in order to just get people through the door. By investing in the local community, we know over 2, 3, 5, 10 years we'll create a sustainable pool.
The entire DVLA transformation programme is clearly designed to empower both its employees and customers.
We fully recognise that this is not just about technology. Technology underpins a lot of what we do, but really what we're thinking about is the skills we need for our 5,000 people in the future. In the next 5 years, in 5 years' time, you know, what's this business going to look like? What sort of skills are we going to need outside IT? And I think that's a key thought provoker for us as an exec team. There's a great deal of facilities for staff to try and make this place, you know, a great place to work. We want DVLA to be seen as not just a stepping stone on careers, but actually a great place to work, and we talk about that a lot.
Customer centrality is being driven by the ultimate goal of offering a single point of access for the end user, to manage everything from licensing to taxation in one place. Falvey wants the DVLA to be defined as a motoring hub, which could, in the end, incorporate a far broader range of motoring services.
We can see the way motoring services are offered in the future changing substantially.
So if we can create that account where everything to do with DVLA and potentially even parking and other things are paid for via that account, and actually helping the customer do things more easily, so we're seen as an aid to the motorist rather than somebody who collects money from you.
DVLA marks its 50th birthday this year, and from a holistic perspective, it wants to be defined by its work with both technology and people.
We have a vision of what we want to get to. We've got a very clear transformation programme. We want to be seen as a trusted brand, keep that brand strong, and be seen as an innovative part of government, one of the places that is seen as responsive to change and moving with the times.